Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Church Unitarian in Littleton. My name is Sara, and I'm a member of the Standing Committee. I have a few items from Community Matters to present this morning. First of all, I want to welcome you all to our annual Cornbread and Cider Communion, a multi-generational service. So we'll all be together in the sanctuary this morning. I want to mention that the Interfaith Thanksgiving service is being held tonight at 7 p.m. on the Littleton Common. And we have some luminary bags that look like this, and I lost the lid to my pen. But if you're interested in this, please go back and decorate. These luminary bags will be used to light the common with some candles this evening. Okay. FCU Circle Dance will be held on Friday, the 25th, from 11 to 1 in the vestry. And please remember your donations for loaves and fishes over the next few weeks. Thank you, and welcome to church.
Good morning. So I thought we'd start this morning off with a meditation. So sit with your feet on the floor. If you need to move a little away from the back of your chair, that's fine, so you're nice and straight. Start by just breathing. You can close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it for a beat. And then as you exhale, visualize your body, where you're sitting, how it feels. And let's take another nice deep breath in. Hold it. Slowly exhale it out your mouth as you notice how your body feels. And now do that 3 more times on your own, focusing on your body as you breathe in, as you hold that breath, and as you exhale. And after your third breath, with your eyes closed, notice your normal breathing. And now I invite you, as you're breathing, to think about things that you're thankful for. With each breath, thank your body and your breath for keeping you going. Thank your friends and your family for being there, for you and for each other. Thank the universe for the sunsets and the flowers and the music and all the other things that inspire you. And then give thanks to your own personal talents as they lead you to your passions and your contributions to the world. And keep breathing. Take a nice big breath in and out. and give thanks to any of the challenges that you face in your daily life, as they are actually opportunities in disguise. Take one more nice deep breath in, hold it, exhale through your mouth, and open your eyes. Welcome to church. This morning our chalice lighter is Ro. And as the chalice is being lit, please say the words to our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church and service to its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
If you want. Good morning. My name is Lara Hoke, pronouns she, her, and I'm so happy and lucky to be the minister serving this incredible congregation. Welcome one and all. I join with Sara and Thea in welcoming you here today. I have a relatively small role today, so I'm enjoying myself already. But yes, today is multi-generational, which sometimes I know bums out the kids because they love going downstairs with Thea and crew. But this is Thanksgiving season, and it's the tradition to be, held against your will with relatives and the people who love you. But no, I think you'll enjoy today's service. I love our annual Cornbread and Cider communion tradition, really co-led by our Director for Religious Education, Thea Shapiro, and our deacons. Today, unfortunately, our senior deacon, Monica Pillman, is not feeling well, and neither is Mike. So we send Monica and Mike well wishes for continued healing. Hope you're feeling better soon, but we will be ably led by our other two deacons, Cindy Malley and Anna Fadden. Our lay pastoral minister today is Jan Dustin, who is with us virtually. If you are having pastoral concerns, you'd like some pastoral care, you could reach out to Jan or the other two lay pastoral ministers, David Butts or Patty Sardella, or of course you can come to me as well. Our opening hymn, we can go ahead and start singing. It's number 349 in the gray hymnal, but the lyrics are also on the screens. It's We Gather Together, and I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Okay, so Bob and Cindy are going to help me with today's story. And today's story is called The Long-Handled Spoons. Many of you may know this. But this, there's a million versions. So have you heard anyone describe the difference between heaven and hell? There's an old story about heaven and hell that doesn't involve fire or ice and doesn't have any angels or demons. This story doesn't take place down there or up here. Up there. This story takes place in a dream. In this dream, a voice says, I will show you how the world can become hell or become heaven? Would you like to see? In the dream, there are 2 huge doors. One door is marked hell, and the other door is marked heaven. Open the door marked hell, and you find a great dining hall full of big tables, each table full of platters piled high with the most delicious foods, meats and fish, vegetables, fruits, breads, cake. Everything smells wonderful. But look, the people sitting at these tables are moaning and crying. Their bodies are thin, their faces gaunt, their eyes are sad. Look closer. Each person is holding a spoon, and each spoon looks like it's at least 3 feet long. These spoons are so long, in fact, that the people in hell, although they can easily reach the food, are unable to get the food back in their mouths. It's not a pretty picture. Now, open the other door, the door marked heaven, and you find a great dining hall that looks exactly the same. The hall is filled with big tables, each full of platters piled high with the most delicious foods, meats, fish, vegetables, fruits, breads, cakes, and everything smells wonderful. And these people in heaven, they are also at the table just out of arm's reach of the food with those same 3-foot-long spoons. But something's different. You notice that the people in heaven look well-fed and happy. A joyous sound of laughter fills the air, and then you see, in heaven, people are using their long spoons to feed each other. And that's how we create heaven right here on earth. Or hell, it's up to us. Thank you, guys.
This is the time of year, of course, where we count our blessings, where we notice the things that we are thankful for, the things that make us feel gratitude. Sometimes when we're feeling gratitude, we also are feeling generous, wanting to give back some of what we've been given. If today you're feeling gratitude for First Church Unitarian or anything that this community has given you, perhaps if you're able, you could respond this morning with generosity as we take our offering for the good works of this congregation. This morning's offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation. Please join me in the words of our community response. We are grateful for the opportunity to give and serve, and grateful for the gifts we have received. May this affirm the ministries of our church community, both within and beyond these walls. I never know what's going to happen. As I said before, this is the time of year that we are grateful. We give gratitude. Think about things that make us feel grateful. And one of the things that sometimes makes me feel grateful, I'm trying to find a space where I don't buzz. This is good. Oh, no, right here. I thought I was going to walk around, but I think I better stay right here. So we think about things we're grateful for, and one of the things I'm grateful for are our forebears. That's just the people who came before us and maybe made the world a little better. And we can take them for granted. We can forget sometimes all the things they did for us, but it's really good to remember them too, and sometimes they can inspire us and help us know how we can make the world better as well. So a forebear I think of really every Thanksgiving season is Lydia Maria Child. Now you might notice right away that her middle name is spelled in a way that most people would say Maria, but she said Maria, Lydia Maria Child. Does anyone know Lydia Maria Child? Ring a bell? A couple of you. What do you think of when you think of her? That's right. Go ahead. Say more.
She was an abolitionist, she was an author, she was a woman's rights, human rights.
Martha knows. Martha knows things. No, Martha is a child's, not a child. So I assume no relation. But very good. You passed the test. Okay, well, let's go ahead and assume you're related then, because it's more fun. Okay. Martha Childs, everyone. Thank you. Very good. Now, most people don't know all that. Most people, if they know anything about Lydia Maria Child, it is that she wrote the words for the very familiar Thanksgiving song, Over the River and Through the Woods. She wrote that as a poem. But it's kind of funny and maybe a little sad that that's all most people know about her. Because it was this tiny, tiny little thing that she did. She wasn't a lyricist, and it wasn't something she thought much of. It was just a little poem that she wrote for a children's periodical. And she did so much more, so I want to tell you about her today. This is a nice time to remember her. Is the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special on TV anymore? I hope they still show it. Yeah, it is good. I love it. And they sing that song, so you can think of Lydia Maria Child when you hear it. And when we sing it later, actually. Spoiler alert. I'm telling this all out of order. So let me start over. No. Lydia Maria Child was born actually in 1802 in Medford, Massachusetts, not so far from here. That's, about 220 years ago, long, long time ago. And she grew up in Medford, and she was raised, her family belonged to the First Parish Church there. Now, I've told some of you, some of the stories of the Puritans. We are first cousins with people in the Congregational or United Church of Christ. We have a UCC minister in the house, I believe. Shh, don't tell anyone. And they're our first cousins because we all come from that Puritan tradition. In the earlier days of that Puritan tradition, people had a Calvinist theology that was very strict and a little bit grim in some ways. And that was the tradition she was raised in. This was also a very different time when there was a very strong binary, gender binary, sex binary. So people had very strict ideas about boys do this, girls do this, men do this, women do this. And so Lydia, who was actually born Lydia Francis with no middle name, Lydia was very bright and she loved to read, and so did her big brother Converse. Sounds like the sneaker, but there's no E on the end. So Converse, her older brother, being bright like she was, got to go to college. So he went to Harvard College, which in those days would have been the obvious place to go. And he studied, and he ended up going to what's the divinity school there. And he ended up changing his theology from the Calvinist theology to what we know as Unitarianism. So it's a less harsh theology in a lot of ways, and he stopped believing that Jesus was literally divine, one and the same as God, but that Jesus was a great man, and so on. Well, unfortunately, Lydia and Converse's mother died, and so she ended up living with her brother for a while. But fortunately, he shared some of his education with her. So he taught her some of the liberal arts things that he had learned. He taught her some things about religion and theology, and she ended up converting to a Unitarian belief system as well. And it was so meaningful to her, in fact, that she got rebaptized as a Unitarian. Yeah, I know, it seems funny now, but Unitarians were more firmly traditionally Christian in those days, just a different concept of Jesus. So when she got rebaptized as a Unitarian, she gave herself a middle name, as sometimes people do, and she chose Mariah. And she wanted people to call her Mariah for the rest of her life, so that's what we'll call her now, Mariah. It is a nice name. Not that there's anything wrong with Lydia. So, Mariah. When she was very young, in her 20s, a young woman, living with her brother, she started to write a book, and he read the first chapter and really encouraged her. And she ended up publishing it. It was called Hobomoke, and it was published not under her real name. It was pretty common in those days to write under pen names or anonymously. And this novel was about a Native American man who married a white or European woman. Now, 200 years ago, that was pretty radical. And a lot of people didn't believe in interracial marriage in those days, as awful as that is. But she and her brother Converse both thought interracial marriage was perfectly fine. So she wrote that book, and she really wrote the rest of her life. Not too long after that, she met and married a Boston lawyer named David Child. So, well, you might be related to David Child more so than Mariah, I guess, then, huh? Shoot, just figured that out. Oh, well. Well, he was pretty good, too. So she met him, and they moved to Boston. And one of the things that happened a year after they got married, in 1829, she published what ended up being by far her best-selling book of all the things she ever wrote, called The Frugal Housewife. And the subtitle was, let me find it, Dedicated to Those Who Are Not Ashamed of Economy. And the book had many recipes and tips for young housewives. And it was about really saving money more than anything. She and her husband sometimes struggled with money, but she was always trying to help out people who needed help. So that book was really a great seller. It went through something like 33 publications in 25 years. So that was a big deal. Yeah. So not so long ago, I have to look at my cheat sheet. There was a time when I could have done this entirely by memory, but when you get older, memory is the second thing to go. These are the jokes. I got that from Bob Ross. I have to reveal my source. Yeah. Okay. So being in Boston, she and her husband got exposed to interesting people, and they ended up getting involved in both the abolition movement and, especially in Mariah's case, women's rights. So she started to become an advocate for enslaved people and for women. And she published in 1833 the first actual book to be published in this country on the anti-slavery movement. And the book was called An Appeal in Favor of That Class of Americans Called Africans. And she was pretty bold in the book. She said that she thought enslaved people should be freed immediately and that their legal owners should get nothing in return. Bold stance. There was some backlash. She lost some fans. She had started a children's periodical earlier that ended up going out of business at this point from people ending their subscriptions. She faced some social ostracization in some circles. So she paid a little bit of a price, but that didn't stop her at all. She and her husband moved to New York City for a few years, where she ended up being the editor of a periodical on abolitionism, abolishing slavery. And then after a few years of that, they moved to Wayland, Massachusetts, where really they lived the rest of their lives. That's also not so far. When they were in Wayland, they offered their home as a place for enslaved people who were running away from the fugitive slave law. So they really opened up their lives in a way that was risk-taking to make the world better. Maria felt a little bit estranged from the mainline abolition movement after a while because as time went along, people got frustrated and it was taking too long to end slavery. And so some people said the only way this is going to end is through violence. And yet she was so anti-violence. That happens all the time, right? You have two strong beliefs and they kind of clash. And in this case, it was wanting to end slavery, but not liking violence. And she really didn't know what to do with that. So for a time, she wasn't so actively involved in the abolition movement. She sort of put that a little to the side in terms of advocating, because she didn't really know what to do with that. And it was during that time, in 1844, when she was branching out into a few other things, that she ended up writing a poem for the children's periodical, and the poem was what we call Over the River and Through the Woods. In the 1850s, she ended up making peace, so to speak, with the abolition movement. She didn't advocate violence. She still couldn't really wrap her head around that. But she began to see herself that it was possible, that maybe slavery was not going to come to an end in this country without some sort of violence. So she got re-engaged in the movement. The other thing that happened around that time, 1840s, 1850s, is her brother, Converse, who became the Unitarian minister, became a transcendentalist. And we've talked some about them. That's like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau and Margaret Fuller. And those people who really expanded the idea of what religion could be beyond Christianity, started to look into Eastern religions and other traditions, and seek as a source of spirituality and inspiration the natural world around them. And Maria was very influenced by this. She never took on the title transcendentalist officially, to my knowledge, but she was a fellow traveler, certainly. And she became close friends with Margaret Fuller, probably not surprisingly. And she ended up writing a 3-volume series on religions over time, and it also was very radical and ruffled a few feathers, because she was really against anything traditional. She was against any dogmas, any creeds, any traditional theologies. And so, again, sometimes she wasn't afraid to say what she thought, even though it was going to make some people angry. In the 1860s, she ended up going back to the first book she ever wrote, Hobomok, the novel. She ended up writing a piece called An Appeal on Behalf of the Indians. And so again, she was writing about the things that really mattered. She lived to be 78 years old, which was a pretty ripe old age in those times. So she died in 1880 in Wayland, Massachusetts, where she is buried. And I'm really grateful to her for being so brave, for being so bold, for standing up for what she believed in, for keeping her intellectual curiosity alive, learning new things through her life, not afraid to change her point of view, always working to help others be more comfortable and be more free. And so today I am grateful for Lydia Maria Child and all of our forebears who helped to bring us just a little further along in the cause of love and justice. So thank you, Lydia Maria Child. And thank you for being patient and listening. And now we are going right into our litany of thanksgiving and the time of our cornbread and cider communion.
Please join me in our litany of thanksgiving, which is printed on the insert in your order of service and also on the screens. Thank you. There is so much to be grateful for, and it is good to express our gratitude. Let us give thanks for our families.
We are grateful for the circle of family, for parents who teach, children who learn, and siblings who love. They have nurtured our lives and given us home.
We give thanks for our natural world.
We are grateful for our earth and universe, for stars and rainbows and all nature's room of life that showers us with wonder.
We give thanks for the love of friends.
We are grateful for all the acts of love in the world. Through friendship and service, we are held by comfort, care, and the faith that true justice is across life.
We are grateful for this religious community.
We are grateful for our church and religion. Here we find care and meaning, insight and depth, fellowship and love, community and beauty. We are grateful for a church that transforms our lives.
We give thanks for the abundance of life.
We are grateful for the many gifts of life, for its great variety and its wondrous bounty. We are grateful for each blessing that comes our way, whatever its package or wrapping.
We light these two remaining candles for any unspoken thanksgiving or sorrows we are holding in the sanctuaries of our hearts.
Here at First Church Unitarian, we hold religious freedom as a central principle, and we have much for which we are grateful. In a few minutes, we will share together in a simple and symbolic meal crafted from some elements of the harvest, thanks in part to our own Susan Palmer, who made our egg-free, gluten-free, nut-free, but not flavor-free cornbread, and the apple cider, which was donated by the Deacons and others. So thank you. We will begin by joyfully singing together a grace of gratitude, and then you may come forward to share in the humble feast. And when that time comes after the hymn, I will invite you to come down the center aisle and take some cornbread and a cup of apple cider and just hold on to them, and then we will partake together, guided by our deacons. And you can return to your seats with your cornbread and cider through the outside aisles. If you are with us remotely, if you have juice and cornbread with you, wonderful. But otherwise, you can partake with water and bread and participate symbolically and remotely. So let us, I'm sorry, one more thing. Please use the trash cans when you depart for today's service to throw out your trash. And also, if you need us to, we can come to you where you are in the pews. So just let us know, raise your hand, and we will come to you. So let us sing our next hymn. It's in the teal hymnal. It's 10:10, We Give Thanks. And the lyrics will also be on the screens.
Thank
Would anyone like cornbread or cider brought to them? Malley, I think, has some. She's good. Thank you. Food is often a symbol of home. But what if you suddenly found yourself in a place where everything about the food was different? Imagine what it might be like to flee your homeland and the foods to which you are accustomed and end up somewhere where you are not only don't speak the language, but where even the basic fruits, vegetables, and grains are different. Just as teff is indigenous to the African continent and millet is indigenous to the Asian continent, corn is indigenous to the North American continent. As we share our cornbread this morning, let us hold in our hearts all those here and abroad who have been forced to leave their homes. Let us hold in our hearts all of those here and abroad for whom home no longer exists. Let us hold in our hearts all those here and abroad for whom home is no longer a place of safety. And let us hold in our hearts all those here and abroad who no longer have a home. Please bite the muffin. So I don't ad-lib.
The only apples native to North America are crab apples. The ones we enjoy in this country today came originally from Asia, through the Middle East into Europe, and then on to America. As we share our apple cider this morning, may it symbolize the sweetness that can come from being open to new experiences, whether it be new foods or new people. Let us remember how our lives are enriched when people share their gifts with one another. You may drink your apple cider. The following reading is from Naomi King's A Thanksgiving Blessing.
Let us join hearts in gratitude on this wondrous day where we have the abundance of our lives before us. We remember this day of bounty, all of those who do not have enough, who are afraid, who are lonely, and who suffer. We wish for the abundance of this world to be shared, for fear to become love, for the lonely to feel welcomed, and for the suffering to know rest and joy. For the labors, the love, the care that gave us the delights of this and every day, we say thanks. For the nourishment of our spirit, the challenges that strengthen us, and the friends we have on the journey, we sing thanks. For all that is our lives, for these good gifts, we whisper thanks. Overflowing with gratitude, let us shout thanks.
Amen.
Thank you, Deacons. All right, I invite you to join me in singing our closing song, which is, of course, Over the River and Through the Woods. And the lyrics are in the insert, and also they will be on the screens. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Over
please stay standing and hold hands or touch elbows or somehow connect. Remember, you are loved, and you are love. This week, let those who you love know you love them. They will be grateful. Tell them how grateful you are that they are in their lives, and I am sure they will smile, which in turn will make you smile, which in turn may give you the ability to see the divine in each other. Blessed be. Amen.
And can you hear me?